Working as a swimming instructor at a public pool in Copenhagen, I watched an American family arrive for their first visit. The father approached my desk, scanning the facility with growing confusion. "Excuse me, where's your liability waiver station?" he asked, gesturing around. "We need to sign the forms before the kids can swim." I explained we don't use waivers at public pools. His face went pale. "You're telling me there's no legal documentation? No assumption of risk paperwork? What happens if someone drowns?" He pulled out his phone, frantically Googling Danish swimming pool regulations. "This has to be illegal. I'm pretty sure the Geneva Convention requires safety waivers for recreational water activities." He spent 20 minutes trying to create his own waiver, insisting I sign it as a witness. If you're already seeing the hilarity in how safety culture becomes a worldview, and you want more stories that reveal how Americans truly collide with the rest of the planet. Subscribing is how you stay ahead of the next revelation. When I declined, he threatened to report the pool to OSHA. "Sir, that's an American agency. It doesn't exist here." "Well, someone needs to regulate this chaos," he muttered, making his children wear inflatable arm floaties in the 3-foot-deep kiddie pool while Danish toddlers swam independently beside them. An American tourist in my Munich pharmacy demanded children's Tylenol. Growing increasingly frustrated when I explained we need to discuss dosage and her child's symptoms first. "I don't need a consultation. I need acetaminophen," she insisted. "In America, medicine is freedom. You're holding my child's healthcare hostage behind socialist red tape." She claimed that requiring pharmacist interaction violated her medical autonomy rights under international law. When I mentioned that unrestricted access to medication can be dangerous, she accused me of comparing her to a drug addict. She later complained to her hotel that German pharmacies were practicing medicine without a license. My neighbor in Stockholm invited an American couple to his midsummer cabin. They arrived with a detailed emergency evacuation plan they'd printed, including GPS coordinates for the nearest hospital, highlighted escape routes, and laminated contact cards. "You're 3 hours from the closest emergency room," the wife said nervously. "What if someone has an allergic reaction? Where's your EpiPen station?" My neighbor pointed to the basic first aid kit. She gasped. "That's it? No defibrillator? No trauma supplies? This is criminally negligent." Her husband suggested canceling the weekend until proper safety infrastructure could be installed. As a kindergarten teacher in Amsterdam, I supervised outdoor play when an American parent visiting her sister's family watched our children climb our traditional jungle gym. She marched over, visibly distressed. "These aren't up to code," she announced, examining the equipment. "The fall height exceeds safe parameters. Where's the impact-absorbing surface? This is just dirt and wood chips." I explained that European playground standards differ from American ones. "Different or non-existent?" she countered. "I work in personal injury law. This playground is a lawsuit waiting to happen." She began measuring distances with a tape measure she'd brought from her purse, taking photos of every potential hazard. "The slide angle is too steep. These monkey bars are too high. There's no safety netting." She created an entire PowerPoint presentation that evening, emailing it to the school board with subject line, "International Safety Crisis Requiring Immediate Intervention." Her analysis included citations from American playground safety standards, demanding that Netherlands adopt them immediately. When the board politely declined, she threatened to contact the International Criminal Court because willfully endangering children violates human rights conventions. Spent her remaining vacation protesting outside our school with a handmade sign reading "Dutch playgrounds kill," while our students played happily behind her. Work at a primary school in rural Scotland, where we take children on weekly forest walks. An American exchange student's parents visited and were horrified to discover their daughter would be unsupervised in the wilderness. The father examined our standard risk assessment form. "This is 1 page," he said incredulously. "Our school district's field trip paperwork is 47 pages. How do you account for every possible scenario?" I explained that we teach children to assess risks themselves. You're teaching 7-year-olds too. Make their own safety decisions? His wife clutched her chest. That's child endangerment. Their prefrontal cortexes aren't developed enough for risk assessment until age 25. I read that in a parenting magazine. It demanded we provide a safety supervisor specifically for their child, offering to pay for a private security guard to accompany her. When we declined, they purchased a GPS tracking watch, a personal first aid kit, a whistle, reflective vest, and a walkie-talkie, insisting their daughter wear all of it simultaneously. The other children thought she was playing rescue ranger. The parents also required a detailed incident report for every near miss, which included walking within 3 feet of a puddle, touching a tree branch, and seeing a bird fly overhead. They submitted these reports to the American embassy, claiming Scotland was violating international child welfare standards. My friend manages a summer camp in Norway where we practice free play philosophy. An American family enrolled their son, then arrived for the parent orientation meeting with a binder of concerns. I've reviewed your safety protocols, the mother began, and I've identified 63 critical gaps. She'd created a spreadsheet comparing our policies to American summer camp standards. You allow children to use actual knives for whittling? To build fires? To climb trees without harnesses? Her husband added, "Where's your full-time nurse? Your liability insurance certificate? Your emergency helicopter landing pad?" We explained that Norwegian children learn practical skills through managed risk. Managed risk is how Americans describe negligence in court, she replied. Most channels tell funny travel stories. I break down the culture beneath the punchline. If you want to understand why these moments happen, not just laugh at them, you belong with the subscribers. I'll need you to sign a document acknowledging that you've been warned of these dangers and choose to maintain them anyway. She'd brought the document pre-written, with spaces for multiple witness signatures. When my friend explained this wasn't necessary, she threatened to sue the Norwegian government for creating a culture that normalizes child endangerment. Her son, meanwhile, was having the time of his life learning to kayak. She made him wear a life jacket, wetsuit, helmet, and goggles in the shallow practice pond, and insisted on swimming alongside the kayak with pool floaties. Just in case, working as a general practitioner in Wellington, New Zealand, I saw an American patient who was furious that I wouldn't prescribe antibiotics for his viral cold. "I'm the customer," he insisted. "I know my body. I need azithromycin," explained that antibiotics don't treat viruses and that overprescription creates resistance. "That's pharmaceutical company propaganda," he countered. "My uncle's a chiropractor. He says antibiotics work for everything if you take enough." He demanded I prescribe them anyway, just in case it becomes bacterial. When I refused, he accused me of rationing healthcare. This is what socialized medicine looks like. You're denying me treatment because of government death panels. He'd somehow convinced himself that New Zealand's public healthcare system had quotas for antibiotic prescriptions. "I know you get bonuses for prescribing less medication." That's insurance fraud. He threatened to report me to the medical board for refusing to treat a patient, then left to find a doctor who would respect his medical autonomy. He later posted in travel forums, warning Americans that New Zealand doctors refuse to prescribe medicine and recommending tourists bring their own antibiotics when visiting. I'm a dentist in Prague, and an American patient was shocked that I recommended a filling for her cavity rather than immediate root canal and crown. "In America, my dentist would have done the crown," she said suspiciously. "Are you trying to save money by doing less treatment?" I explained that we treat cavities conservatively when possible. "Conservative treatment sounds like code for cheap treatment," she replied. "I want the full American procedure. I want the most invasive option available." She'd somehow concluded that more expensive treatment was inherently better treatment. When I explained that unnecessary root canals damage healthy tooth structure, she accused me of practicing third-world dentistry in a first-world country. She demanded I perform the root canal anyway, offering to pay double. I'm the patient. It's my tooth. You have to do what I want. When I explained medical ethics prevented me from performing unnecessary procedures, she threatened to sue me for denying care. She left the office with the untreated cavity, later complaining online that Czech dentists refused to provide adequate care. because European socialism has destroyed their medical standards? My partner works at a physical therapy clinic in Melbourne, where an American patient arrived for knee rehabilitation. She was outraged that we didn't provide pain medication before the session. In America, they give you Vicodin before PT, she said. How am I supposed to do exercises while in pain? That's torture. The physiotherapist explained that some discomfort during rehab is normal and helps gauge progress. Discomfort is your body's warning system, she argued. Ignoring it causes injury. I read that on WebMD. She'd printed out articles about chronic pain management, all from American sources, highlighting sections about patient-controlled medication. Australia is violating international pain management protocols established by the WHO, she claimed, citing nothing accurate. She refused to participate in exercises unless provided with prescription painkillers, then complained that Australian healthcare was primitive because it didn't adequately manage patient comfort. She eventually flew home early, telling her insurance company that Australian physical therapy was inhumane and demanding they cover American treatment instead. Her claim was denied, so she started a blog called Medical Horror Stories Abroad warning Americans about third world rehabilitation. Techniques in developed nations. I manage a rock climbing gym in Innsbruck, where an American family wanted to try indoor climbing. The father examined our waiver form, which was a single page. This isn't legally comprehensive, he said, pulling out a stapled document from his backpack. This is the waiver from my gym in Colorado. It's 12 pages. Your waiver doesn't mention acts of God, equipment failure, instructor negligence, or assume liability for psychological trauma. He'd brought his own American waiver and insisted we both sign it before his family could climb. I'm not climbing anywhere without proper legal protection, he declared. I explained that Austrian law doesn't require such extensive waivers. Austrian law doesn't supersede common sense, he countered. What if the rope breaks? What if someone falls? What if my daughter develops a fear of heights from this experience? I pointed out that we use certified equipment and trained staff. Certification doesn't prevent lawsuits, he replied knowingly. He spent 40 minutes trying to negotiate the terms of our simple waiver, suggesting additional clauses about mental anguish, loss of enjoyment of life, and future earning capacity impacts. When I refused to amend our standard form, he made his family wear climbing helmets, knee pads, elbow pads, and back protectors for the beginner wall, which was 10 feet high, with crash pads below. Other climbers stopped to stare as his overprotected children shuffled toward the wall like astronauts in training. He stood beneath them with arms outstretched, ready to catch them despite the safety rope system, shouting, "Don't trust the equipment. Daddy's here." His daughter made it 3 feet up before he demanded they come down, because he'd noticed the carabiner wasn't American-made, and therefore potentially defective. Beautiful irony of watching Americans navigate global safety standards is witnessing the collision between litigious culture and common-sense risk management. These travelers genuinely believe that without extensive paperwork, professional liability insurance, and warning labels on everything, the rest of the world exists in constant mortal danger. Want to understand why international travel insurance for Americans costs more? Picture these tourists demanding emergency helicopter evacuations for routine healthcare visits, threatening to sue foreign governments for playground equipment standards, and creating international incidents over prescription policies. The paperwork alone requires its own luggage. This episode expanded your understanding of how American culture transforms everyday life into legal theater. Imagine having that clarity every single week. Subscribe and keep your worldview from shrinking back to default settings.